Hey guys, Paul here. I wanted to make a quick video where I'm comparing my 2020 M1 Macbook Air and my much older 2015 15-inch MacBook Pro. Also, I wanted to give you guys some insight onto a few considerations that I didn't realize before buying the M1 MacBook Air. First, you're probably wondering, why did you buy this MacBook Air if you've already got this perfectly good 15-inch MacBook Pro? Well, I just like many of you, I read a lot of the reviews and everyone was speaking about how, this M1 architecture is just so good, it's destroying even the most powerful MacBook Pros. I thought to myself, man, I better hurry up, get this machine and try to sell this machine while there's still some value, because pretty soon everybody's going to be on this more powerful, better M1 architecture. Now, I did then buy the M1 and I started to dig into why is it that this M1 is so much more powerful than the Intel equivalents. Well, part of it is die size. Now, a little history on the on Intel manufacturing and Intel product releases is they typically were using a tick-tock strategy. Now, I'm not talking about TikTok, the social video platform. What I mean is they've released an architecture update to their processors one year. The next year, they would use the same architecture and work on the manufacturing process, so typically reduce the die size.
As you can see in this chart, comparing 14 nanometers versus 7 nanometer manufacturing process, at the same unit of power, we can achieve about over 40% more performance or frequency, or at the same frequency, we can do that with less than 55% of the power. Now, in our case, Intel's manufacturing processors at 10 nanometers, and Apple's able to get processors at 5 nanometers.
Now, Apple can do that because what they do is, rather than trying to make the chips themselves, they make the architecture, and then they go to a company called TSMC, which is Taiwan Semiconductor, who just focuses on the manufacturing process. So whereas Intel does both, they focus on manufacturing process, they make their own chips, they focus on architecture, Apple focuses on architecture, and TSMC focuses on that manufacturing process. So because of that, you're going to get a lot of performance benefits from being on that much more efficient architecture. So it's not so much, the manufacturing process. It's not so much the architecture is so much better. It just so happens that manufacturing process is significantly better on the M1 side. So that's performance. And when you use a computer, it's not always just about performance. If it was this, there's no question the M1 is going to be leaps and bounds over these Intel units. However, in this case, there's a few other things to consider. For example, the M1's got 2 USB-C ports, and that's quite limiting. What I need to do is I have to carry around this dongle wallet, I call it. Look at this. So I got to carry around all these different cables to then convert from USB-C to micro or to normal USB or Thunderbolt. It's kind of a pain. I got to carry this guy around just because he's only got 2 ports and they're only of one type. On the other hand, this one here, this 15-inch MacBook Pro, he's got 2 USB 4, aka Thunderbolt ports. He's got MagSafe for the power. He's got USB 3 on the other side as well, SD card reader, full-size HDMI. Port-wise, the 2015 will win hands down. Now, aside from ports, there's a few other considerations. For instance, your inputs, your keyboard and your trackpad. And I'll tell you that they did make some improvements to this keyboard. It was a butterfly switch and they went back to the scissor switch. So they have improved the keyboard, but it's still not quite as good as the 2015 keyboard, which has lots of travel. So I'm certainly more comfortable on these older Mac for the keyboard, though trackpad-wise, I hear that this one's a little bit better. It's tough for me to tell because they're both have great trackpads. However, this one's maybe a little bit better as far as the trackpad. So based on better keyboard, better trackpad, probably about a wash. They're both equivalent as far as the input goes. Now, another consideration are the displays. Well, obviously, you've got a 15.4-inch display versus a 13.3-inch display. So you got more real estate here. However, this machine is going to get both brighter and have deeper black, so a higher contrast ratio. This one's going to get 400 nits of brightness versus 300 nits of brightness. And like I said, the blacks just seem darker. So it's a little easier to read text on this one, though you've got more real estate, on this bigger 15.4-inch screen. So in that category, maybe that's a wash as well. Another category, how about portability? Well, obviously, this is a 2.8 pound machine. I do like that it's the MacBook Airs are typically this wedge shape, so you get more weight back here near the hinge or the spine of the machine. So if you're holding them on that side, it just seems very maneuverable, very easy to handle, versus this Big Daddy here. This is a 4.5 pound machine, and it's certainly not quite as portable as this one here. It's not quite double the weight, but it's significantly heavier, and obviously that's very noticeable. So another real world category where the M1 will take the cake. It will beat it for portability. Another advantage to the M1 is with those USB-C ports, I can sidecar into my MacBook Pro. So sorry, my iPad Pro. So that's going to be huge. In that the 2015 can't use sidecar. So that's an added benefit, gives me a little more real estate if I do have my iPad with me. Now, those are the main considerations, but there are a few bonuses, or maybe I'll call them user upgrades or mods that can be done to both of these machines. Now, in the case of the M1, most of you, maybe you guys know already, but the MacBook Pro, it's the same processor, but it's got a little more performance because it's got active cooling. It's got fans that keep the processor cool. And these do run quite cool anyway, but one hack is to use a thermal pad to basically bridge the CPU heatsink itself and have it connected to this aluminum chassis. So you got a lot more surface area here. And so by doing that, you're gonna be able to run the machine a little bit warmer for longer because it will be getting cooled down based on increased surface area. Now the bonus for this one, or the user modification for this one is huge. And that is, this is 2015 MacBook Pro. And this is one of the last years that they had a user replaceable or a third-party SSD, which you could take out. So this is the original 256 megabyte SSD drive. And you can take that out and use one of these adapters here, and then maybe a Sabrent, or there's many NvMe drives that you can use. So adapter drive, this would run me, oh, by the way, for this thermal pad, it would cost you about $5 or $6 on Amazon and take you maybe 10 minutes to cut it properly, to open the chassis, put it in. So 5 or 10 minutes to install it and cost you $5 or $6 from Amazon. This, on the other hand, the adapter was maybe close to $10, and the drive itself was about $100, so $110 for this drive. Now, what this does is, rather than the original 256, I get 1 terabyte, so 4 times the storage, and double the speed, because the original drive, read-write, was about 1.5 gigabytes per second. And this drive is really close to 3 gigabytes per second, so nearly double the speed. In fact, it's even faster than this M1. The M1 read-write, everybody's got different benchmarks, but for the 256 gigabyte version, it was about, what was it? About 1.8 to 1.8 on the read and 1.5 on the write. So even that 1.8, 1.5 versus 2.9, 3.0, certainly this is going to be almost double as fast, and obviously 4 times the storage. So that's a big benefit to this user upgradable 2015 model. So I hope you guys learned a little something new on comparing this M1. I'll probably, rather than getting rid of my 2015, I might look to maybe sell my M1. And as you guys probably know, in October, November, they're going to be coming out with the newer redesign. As you know, when they did put these M1s into these bodies, they basically used everything the same as the Intel versions and simply changed out the CPU. So they're going to do a full body redesign for this next version. So hopefully stay tuned for that one. This is one of my first YouTube videos. So if you could, I'm going to have to do the obligatory, please like and share or subscribe, that kind of thing. I appreciate it. I put some work into making this video, so help me out, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye-bye for now.